Ashley here, Enneagram SXSP Type 378, I think. Here's a comparison between ones and fours according to Enneagram Institute. Not a comparison, but their relationship dynamic. Enneagram ones and fours have an intense mutual interest to bring something good and beautiful into the world. Both are idealistic and concerned with getting it right in their work and self-expressions. Both see how things could be, how a project could become an expression of an ideal form if all went well. By working together, something universal and transcendent could result in their work and in the relationship itself. Ones bring a desire for objectivity, truth, value, and reason to the relationship. They offer self-discipline, good work habits, and regularity to the relationship. Ones are conscientious and will sublimate themselves and their personal needs to the greater good, including the shared vision and goals that they feel are at the core of the relationship itself. That's great that they would actually sacrifice themselves for the good of the relationship. That's just what catches me right there. Ones can act as valuable sounding boards for fours, offering advice and wisdom when fours get confused by the multitude of their feelings or their self-doubts. Fours bring creativity, intense feelings, sensuality, spontaneity, inspiration, and the ability to tap into dreams, the unconscious, and other universal forces. Wow. SXSP 3 is like a 4, but I'm not a 4. I mean, supposedly less than 1% of the population is a 4. If you're an INFP, ISFP with that FI, you may be a 4, typically. Their expressiveness and emotionality can be a welcome counterbalance, to the one's typical formality and sense of order and reason. Fours give one's permission to explore and express the full range of the one's feelings and passions. That's funny to me because it's like I'm dating a robot. Ones help fours actualize their dreams by supporting creativity with healthy self-discipline and appropriate structure. It rubs off on you if you don't rebel against it. In general, ones bring self-restraint to the relationship, which may act as a model for fours who tend to be more unregulated. That's to put it mildly. Both types have a taste for refinement, beauty, and a cultivation of the arts, and if both appreciate what the other offers, they can make a long-lasting, productive team that helps balance limitations of the other while bringing out qualities that each lacks, one of the primary functions of all good relationships. Complementing each other. I'm glad I read that, because now here we come to the potential trouble spots or issues between the 1 and the 4. A relationship between ones and fours can sometimes be like mixing oil and water. They tend to separate quickly because they see things from the opposite points of view. Ones think that they are almost always being sensible and objective, while fours do not try to be objective. They want to see things from the subjective, personal side. While both bring a kind of idealism to the relationship, it is usually idealism applied to different things. Ones will be idealistic about social causes, morality, politics, and global issues, while fours are idealistic, even perfectionistic, about aspects of their personal lives, lifestyle, mate, choice of work. Both can reinforce each other's sense of superiority, leading to elitism and snobbery toward others. Both can become disdainful and condescending toward those who have less breeding, taste, or sense of refinement. See, this is why, just reading this, I've been typed before by people, and I don't think I'm a 4. I'm not a 4. I'm not a 4. I have a lot of 4 energy, but just hearing this less breeding, taste, sense of refinement, I used to be like that as a core 3. a lot more like that in lower levels of health, but unless it's a blind spot, I don't see it as much. It reminds me of intuitives who have this grudge against sensors in their thinking, or FI users who are against TE users, maybe. So I could see the elitism, actually. And the habit of being disappointed in others can be turned against each other as well. Both types are ironically aware of their impulses, sensuality, longings, frustrations, and they both attempt to handle these issues in diametrically different ways. That's interesting that the one, of course, is aware of their shortcomings, of course, as a one, being critical of themselves, but they never express it to their partner or to the world, really, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Thus, one of the biggest areas of conflict between ones and fours is in self-discipline versus self-indulgence, between personal and emotional impulses either being acted out or being suppressed. Ones can begin to see fours as hopelessly emotional, self-absorbed, and self-indulgent, especially in unhealth, while fours can begin to see ones as insufferably rigid, judgmental, and cold. He's got that wing too. So not as bad as a wing 9 would be. Fours can become as angry, critical, intolerant, and self-righteous as low-functioning ones. And ones can become as melancholy, self-pitying, alienated, and depressed as low-functioning fours. Ooh, if I saw my one do that, I would be very worried. I'd be very confused. I'd feel like I were dreaming if I saw that for my one. In short, ones and fours may end by being disaffected with each other for being the way they are. They are not an imagined ideal. That seems to contrast a lot with what they said above. Both can be unforgiving, keeping scores, remembering long past hurts. Yes, the relationships can deteriorate into bitter frustration with each other and end as the result of rancorous arguments. I need to scroll back up and see what they said. Down there, they said, oh, you're not an imagined ideal. But up here, they had said, can make a long-lasting, productive team that helps balance the limitations of the other. I'm so glad that I'm reading this because it's like, it's kind of hypocritical. It can go either way, of course. Man, I'm so glad I'm doing this because it's like, oh, it has to be by the book, so it's like I totally misread that before, the compatibility of the ones and the fours. Because I had an INFJ give me her take, and she thought that it just would not last because it's like we're cramping each other's styles by just being who we were. But I was actually mistyped as a 4 then. I would say that the biggest thing is the lack of time the 1 and 4 can share together, at least from my experience, and the judgment that the 1 gives to the 4 that can make the 4 feel even more defective than they already feel. So that's the 1 and the 4, that's the relationship dynamics. I'm so glad that we did this. And I hope that it helps you should you be having this dynamic as well.